They thought they broke you. That is the funniest part of this entire story, because the version of you they tried to destroy already died a long time ago. They never noticed it. They never understood why your eyes changed, why your silence became heavier, why crowds suddenly felt fake to you, why you stopped explaining yourself, why certain people could no longer reach your spirit. No matter how hard they tried, they thought pain was punishing you. But pain was initiating you. There's a moment in every chosen one's life where the old self is buried alive. Not physically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally. A death so deep that nobody around them even realizes it happened. You still walk. You still speak. You still smile sometimes. But internally, the person you once were is gone forever. And that is the moment the veil begins to lift. Do not close this yet. What I am about to walk you through is the part of your own story you were never given language for. And once you hear it fully, you will never look at what you survived the same way again. Most people never experience this, because most people spend their entire lives running from pain, escaping truth, distracting themselves with noise, validation, entertainment, addictions, fake relationships, fake goals, fake identities. But the chosen one, you were forced into the fire. You did not ask for it. You did not volunteer for it. Life dragged you into darkness and locked the door behind you, and that darkness changed your vision forever. You started seeing things other people could not see. The fake smiles, the hidden jealousy, the manipulation behind kindness, the emptiness behind status, the insecurity hiding behind arrogance, the spiritual sickness hidden behind material success. You began noticing energy before words that scared people, because once a person can see beyond the mask, they become impossible to control. That is why your journey became lonely, not because you are cursed, not because you are unlovable, but because awakened people threaten sleeping minds. The moment your veil lifted, you stopped fitting into the old world. Conversations became shallow. Friendships became exhausting. Places that once entertained, you suddenly drained your soul. You started craving silence more than attention. Isolation became medicine, and people misunderstood it. They called you distant, cold, too intense, too emotional, too different. But what they did not understand is this: you were recovering from a spiritual death, a death nobody saw. Type "I see it now" in the comments if your silence was never emptiness, it was evolution. There are wounds that do not bleed externally, wounds that tear through identity itself. Some of you lost people you thought would stay forever. Some of you were betrayed by those you loved most. Some of you watched your dreams collapse in front of your eyes. Some of you cried alone night after night, asking why your life felt like constant warfare while everybody else seemed asleep and comfortable. Drop one line in the comments. What was the night that changed you, the one nobody saw, nobody knew about, but you survived anyway? You do not have to explain it. Just name it. The chosen ones reading below have had the same night. Let them know they are not alone in what they carried. But comfort was never your destiny. Transformation was, and transformation is violent. Every butterfly must dissolve before it can fly. Every diamond must survive pressure before it can shine. Every chosen one must experience death before awakening. That is the secret nobody talks about. The veil is not lifted through happiness. It is lifted through suffering. Suffering strips illusions. It forces you to confront reality. It exposes who people truly are. It reveals your hidden strength. It destroys your dependence on external validation. It kills the ego that once needed approval. That is why after everything you have survived, you no longer fear people the same way. You have already lost too much, already cried too much, already survived nights that should have destroyed you. So now you move differently, calmer, sharper, more deliberate. You can feel when someone secretly envies you. You can sense when a room shifts energy. You can tell when someone's words do not match their spirit. And this makes people uncomfortable around you, because your presence exposes masks without even trying. The chosen one carries a mirror energy. People see themselves around you. Their lies become visible. Their insecurities rise to the surface. Their darkness becomes harder to hide. That is why some people randomly dislike you before even knowing you. Your energy threatens the false version of themselves they worked so hard to maintain. If you know someone still in the early stages of this, still confused by why people dislike them for no reason, still thinking the problem is them, sow a seed and send this to them through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Give what you feel moved to release. And if you want, attach your intention, the name of the person you wish this clarity for, the awakening you are believing they will find. What you release with that behind it, the universe returns to you. Every seed lands on fertile ground. The link is in the description. It is pinned in the comments. And what hurts the most is that many times, the attacks came from people closest to you. Family, friends, partners, people you would have sacrificed everything for. But betrayal was part of the awakening, because the universe had to show you one painful truth. Not everyone connected to you is assigned to your destiny. Some people were only meant to test your discernment. Some were meant to strengthen your boundaries. Some were meant to trigger your evolution. Some were meant to leave so you could finally discover yourself. And every departure hurt, especially because your heart was genuine. Chosen ones love deeply. They care deeply. They forgive too much. They give chances long after people deserve them. That is why your betrayals cut so deeply, because you would never intentionally do to others what they did to you. But pain became your teacher. You learned that loyalty is rare. Intentions matter. Energy never lies. And silence reveals more than words ever could. Like this message, if it is giving language to something you have carried without being able to explain, and subscribe now, so you never miss what comes next. You also learn something terrifying. Most people are asleep, not physically, spiritually. They chase meaningless things while their souls starve. They worship appearances while neglecting character. They follow crowds because independent thinking terrifies them. They avoid truth because truth demands transformation. But once your veil lifts, you cannot return to ignorance. You start noticing patterns everywhere. You realize how society rewards conformity, how people are programmed by fear, how many relationships are transactional, how many systems profit from keeping people weak, distracted, divided, exhausted. And suddenly, your old life no longer makes sense. That is why many chosen ones go through periods of intense isolation after awakening. You are recalibrating. Your soul is detoxing from illusion. The old version of you cannot survive in your new awareness. And during this stage, you may feel lost. You may question everything. Your purpose, your identity, your future, even your sanity sometimes. Because awakening feels lonely before it feels empowering. At first, it feels like losing everything. But eventually, you realize you are only losing what was blocking your evolution. The universe had to remove distractions, false attachments, fake alignments, toxic comfort zones, because your destiny requires clarity. And clarity often arrives through destruction. Think about it. The strongest version of you was not born during your happiest moments. It was born in isolation, in heartbreak, in betrayal, in depression, in confusion, in survival mode. That version of you is sacred, because that version met darkness face to face and still refused to die. Type "I survived" if you made it through something that had no audience. Something nobody saw, nobody applauded, but you survived. Anyway, most people never understand the strength it takes to rebuild yourself after life shatters your identity. To wake up carrying invisible pain and still continue. To smile while internally fighting battles nobody sees. To continue believing in purpose after disappointment. After disappointment. That is spiritual warfare. And many chosen ones do not realize this. Your suffering was never random. The enemy attacks what carries light. That is why your path has been so difficult. Your spirit was never ordinary. Your purpose was never small. Your existence disrupts darkness itself, and darkness always reacts to light. That is why you experienced rejection in places where you tried hardest to belong. That is why people projected onto you. That is why some individuals competed with you for no reason. That is why your kindness was mistaken for weakness. That is why you felt different your entire life. You were never designed to blend in. You were designed to awaken. But awakening comes with a cost. You lose illusions. You lose fake connections. You lose old identities. You lose the comfort of ignorance. And in exchange you gain sight. Not with the eyes, with the soul. You begin understanding things without explanation. You feel guided away from certain people. You sense danger before it arrives. You experience synchronicities. You outgrow environments rapidly. You feel emotionally exhausted around fake energy. This is not coincidence. Your discernment sharpened after your spiritual death. And people notice it, even if they cannot explain it. Some feel intimidated around you. Some feel exposed. Some feel drawn to your peace. Some secretly envy your resilience, because they know they would have collapsed under what you survived. Stay with me. The next part is where everything you have been walking through gets named in a way that will change how you carry it. Do not move away from this. Never apologize for the strength your pain created. You earned every scar. You earned every lesson. You earned this awareness through suffering most people would never survive. And yes, there were moments you almost gave up. Moments where the loneliness felt unbearable. Moments where you questioned whether life would ever improve. Moments where you begged for relief. Moments where darkness whispered that your existence did not matter. But you survived. Remember that. You survived every version of yourself that thought it could not continue. That alone proves there is something greater protecting your path. Because chosen ones are preserved for purpose. Your story is not accidental. Even the pain had meaning, especially the pain. Without it, your eyes would still be closed. Without betrayal, your discernment would remain weak. Without isolation, you would never hear your soul clearly. Without heartbreak, you would still chase people incapable of loving you correctly. Without loss, you would never understand your own resilience. Your death birthed your awakening. And now, you can never become who you used to be again. You have seen too much, felt too much, understood too much. That old innocent version of you is gone forever. Mourn them if you need to, but do not try to resurrect them, because your next chapter requires the awakened version of you, the wiser version, the stronger version, the spiritually protected version. Type, let them stay dead if you are ready to stop trying to revive the version of you that the world was comfortable with. And finally, let the real one live. You are entering a phase where your intuition will become your greatest weapon. Listen carefully to it. When your spirit feels uneasy around someone, pay attention. When your energy suddenly drains in certain environments, pay attention. When your soul urges you to move differently, trust it. The awakened chosen one survives by discernment, not appearances, because evil rarely introduces itself honestly. Sometimes it smiles, sometimes it flatters, sometimes it pretends to love you, but your soul knows. That is why your sensitivity is not weakness. It is spiritual intelligence. Protect it. The world tries to harden sensitive souls because sensitivity threatens systems built on numbness. But your ability to feel deeply is part of your gift. It allows you to perceive what others miss. Never lose that. At the same time, understand this clearly. Not everybody deserves access to you anymore. That version of you who tolerated disrespect just to avoid losing people dead. That version who over-explained themselves to be understood dead. That version who ignored red flags because they hoped people would change dead. Good. Let them stay dead. Your rebirth requires boundaries, and boundaries will offend people who benefited from your lack of them. Do not feel guilty. You spent too much of your life shrinking yourself to make others comfortable. Now it is time to choose yourself, fully, without apology, without fear, without needing permission. Type, I choose myself. If you are finally done waiting for someone else's permission to take up the space you were meant to fill. Because the truth is, many people only loved the version of you they could control, the healed version, the awakened version, the powerful version. That version terrifies them. Why? Because you no longer abandon yourself for acceptance. You no longer beg for love. You no longer chase validation. You no longer tolerate manipulation disguised as connection. And once a chosen one reaches that level of awareness, their energy changes permanently. You become magnetic. Not because you try, but because authenticity carries power. People can feel when someone has survived darkness and transformed instead of becoming bitter. That energy cannot be faked. You carry depth now, presence, wisdom, spiritual weight. Even your silence speaks differently. That is why your future will not resemble your past. The suffering phase was preparation. You thought life was punishing you, but life was training you. Training your mind to endure. Training your spirit to discern. Training your heart to heal. Training your soul to lead. Because eventually, your story will become survival instructions for others. One day, someone will hear your story and decide not to quit. One day, your wisdom will help someone escape darkness. One day, your scars will remind another broken soul that healing is possible. Nothing you survived was wasted. Nothing. The nights you cried alone. The betrayals, the confusion, the abandonment, the silent battles nobody knew about. All of it shaped your awakening. And now you stand different from the crowd. Not superior, different, more conscious, more intentional, more connected to truth. That is why superficial things no longer impress you. You value peace more than popularity, depth more than attention, authenticity more than performance, alignment more than approval. You finally understand that protecting your energy is more important than proving yourself. And that realization changes everything. Because once the chosen ones stop seeking external validation, they become unstoppable. Fear loses power over them. Manipulation loses power over them. Public opinion loses power over them. Why? because they already survived their internal death. Nothing external compares to that battle. The person who has rebuilt themselves from emotional ruin carries a dangerous level of strength, a quiet strength, a spiritual strength. And that strength is exactly why your enemies underestimated you. They thought your silence meant weakness. They thought your kindness meant fragility. They thought your isolation meant failure. But isolation was your transformation chamber. While they were distracted by appearances, you were rebuilding your soul. Now your energy carries something rare: inner authority. You no longer need everyone to understand you. You no longer panic when people leave. You no longer fear solitude, because solitude introduced you to yourself. And once you truly meet yourself, loneliness disappears. There is power in becoming your own safe place. That is the lesson your suffering was trying to teach you all along. People may abandon you. Situations may collapse. Life may change overnight. But if you can stand firmly within yourself, nothing can truly destroy you. That is the final stage of the chosen one, awakening. Self-possession. The ability to remain spiritually grounded regardless of chaos. And trust me, chaos will come. Life will continue testing your growth. The universe will continue revealing hidden truths. You will continue shedding old layers. But now, you are no longer asleep. Now you recognize the patterns. Now you trust your intuition. Now you understand your worth. Now you know your spirit survived things that should have broken it. That knowledge changes how you walk through the world. You stop chasing. Stop forcing. Stop begging. Stop proving. You simply align, and what belongs to you begins finding you naturally. The right people, the right opportunities, the right purpose, the right peace. Not because life suddenly became easy, but because your energy finally became clear. The veil lifted. And once the veil lifts, the soul can no longer tolerate what is misaligned. That is why some relationships collapsed. That is why certain doors closed. That is why old environments became unbearable. Your spirit outgrew them. Do not go backward just because loneliness visits sometimes. Evolution feels lonely before it feels liberating. Remember that. Most people settle because temporary loneliness scares them more than permanent misalignment. But not you. You were forced to evolve. And now there is no returning to unconscious living. You have seen the truth hidden behind appearances. You know how fragile life is, how fake many connections are, how precious peace is, how important spiritual alignment is. And because of this awareness, your future will be different. You are no longer operating from survival alone. You are beginning to operate from purpose. That is the shift. A chosen one who survives awakening becomes a force impossible to manipulate. Because they no longer fear endings. They understand that every ending carries transformation. You learned this through pain. The death of your old self taught you that destruction is sometimes divine. Sometimes things fall apart because your soul can no longer grow there. Sometimes isolation is protection. Sometimes rejection is redirection. Sometimes loss is liberation. And one day, you will look back at the moments that nearly destroyed you and realize they were actually separating you from the life that was destroying your spirit slowly. That is the irony of awakening. The things you cried over were often the things blocking your destiny. Now look at yourself, still standing, still evolving, still carrying light despite everything. That alone is miraculous. Never underestimate how powerful it is to remain soft-hearted in a world that tried to harden you. Never underestimate how powerful it is to continue believing after disappointment. And never forget this truth. The reason your veil lifted is because your soul survived death. Not physical death. The death of illusion. The death of innocence. The death of dependency. The death of the false self. And from that death, a new being emerged. A being capable of seeing through deception. A being capable of transforming pain into wisdom. A being capable of walking alone without losing themselves. That is the real power of the Chosen One. Not perfection. Transformation. You became dangerous the moment suffering failed to destroy your heart. Because now your spirit understands something most people never learn. Darkness can shape you, but it does not own you. And that realization changes everything forever. They thought they were destroying you. That is what makes this story so powerful. They thought the betrayal would finish you. They thought the abandonment would weaken you. They thought the humiliation would silence you. They thought the pressure would crush your spirit beyond repair. But what they never understood was that the version of you they were attacking had already died long before they arrived. The old you was already gone. The person who needed validation, the person who begged to be understood, the person who tolerated disrespect just to keep people close, the person who ignored red flags because they feared being alone, the person who kept shrinking themselves so others could feel comfortable around their light. That version died, in silence, not in one dramatic moment, but slowly, through heartbreak, through disappointment, through sleepless nights, through silent battles nobody knew you were fighting. And while the world thought you were falling apart, something sacred was happening inside you. You were awakening. Pain has a strange way of opening human eyes. When life removes comfort, illusions begin to collapse. You start seeing people differently. You start recognizing fake love, fake loyalty, fake intentions. You begin understanding that not everyone who smiles at you wants the best for you, and that realization changes you forever. Because once a soul sees truth clearly, it can never return to blindness again. That is what happened to you. The suffering they thought would destroy your spirit actually sharpened it. Every betrayal increased your discernment. Every loss deepened your wisdom. Every rejection strengthened your independence. Every lonely night forced you to discover strength you never knew existed. You stopped looking for people to save you because pain taught you how to save yourself. That is the transformation nobody talks about. The strongest people are not born strong. They are rebuilt through destruction. And rebuilding yourself after emotional death is one of the hardest battles a human being can face. Because there comes a moment where you realize nobody is coming to rescue you. Nobody fully understands your pain. Nobody can walk your internal journey for you. And in that moment, something either breaks forever or awakens completely. You awakened. That is why you move differently now. Your silence carries weight. Your energy changed. Your tolerance became smaller. Your intuition became sharper. You no longer chase people who misunderstand you. You no longer force connections. You no longer abandon yourself for acceptance. Because pain taught you a lesson comfort never could. Losing yourself to keep others happy is the real tragedy. Now you understand your worth at a soul level. And that scares people, because awakened people become difficult to manipulate. You can no longer be controlled by guilt, by fear, by approval, by temporary validation. Why? Because you already survived your internal death. The hardest battle already happened within you, and when a person survives the collapse of their old identity, they become dangerous in the most powerful way possible. Not dangerous because they want revenge. Dangerous because they no longer fear losing what once controlled them. Type already rising in the comments if you can feel. Even if you cannot fully explain it yet, that what you are becoming is more powerful than anything they tried to destroy. That is your power now. Your pain did not destroy you. It revealed you. The fire was never sent to burn your soul. It was sent to expose the strength hidden underneath everything the world tried to bury. And now, after everything you survived, you finally understand the truth. They were attacking a version of you that no longer existed, because the real you, the awakened you, was already rising from the ashes. Share this with someone who is still in the dark part of this, still in the fire, still calling it punishment, still not knowing that what is happening to them is preparation. You do not have to explain anything, just send it. Sometimes the right words at the right moment are the only thing standing between someone and giving up. You found this message, and finding it means something in you was already ready to hear it. The veil does not lift by accident. It lifts because the soul finally has enough light to bear the truth. There are people still at the beginning of what you just finished reading, still in the early days of the darkness that shaped you, still believing they are being destroyed, still not knowing they are being built, still without the language to understand what is happening to them. You are now positioned to be the reason they find it. Every seed you sow into this message carries this truth into a room it has not yet entered. Through the link in the description or the pinned comment, a coffee, a donation, a membership, sow what you feel led to release, and bring your intention with it. The person whose name is on your heart, the one still fighting the battle you just survived. What you release on their behalf, with that intention behind it, the universe returns to you in ways that will feel exactly like what this message felt when it found you. The link is in the description. It is pinned in the comments. It is waiting. You became dangerous the moment suffering failed to destroy your heart. Darkness shaped you, but it does not own you, and that is the truth they will never be able to take back. They thought they were breaking you, but you were already rising.